what is happening.
Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, news director Brian Hauswirth, John Marsh, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you.
Get ready, pal. And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
I can't wait.
And now he wants to drop more of your cash on Israel in Ukraine. Anybody watch the speech last night from the White House? I saw clips this morning. Usually I do try to watch these things. However, I was at something that I thought was far more important and far more impactful. Stephanie Bell and I last night, big event in mid-Missouri for the YMCA.
We were supporting the YMCA and got to meet a lot of listeners. We met listener Gary and listener Nick and listener Bob. We had a really good night and a good turnout for our local YMCA.
This guy, Gary, been a long-time listener of the show, but everybody knows Steph. But we had a neat conversation about fathers. Because he heard Dad on the show earlier this week or last week. He said, man, I love it when your dad's on the show. And I said, thanks. And he says, you need to enjoy that time. And I said, yeah. I said, are you telling me my dad's getting old and ready to die, Gary? He says no, but he shared a very heartwarming story about the last interaction that he and his father had. His father died in his 80s, but he didn't die of health. He died in a car accident. He was just like that. And just a neat conversation, great event. Rod Smith, the big old fish guy, KRCG 13, he emceed the YMCA and what they've done here in mid-Missouri, John. Man, they do some incredible work for kids, and it was just a really good time. So I was there and didn't feel proper about sitting there with the folks from the Ellinger Bell table, Ellinger Bell Associates, and sitting there watching the YouTube video, watching Joe while we're trying to do this really important thing. So I did not, and I got to see clips. Takeaway: he wants to send more money to these other countries, but we don't have a Speaker of the House still.
We might get one today.
Maybe.
By the way, can I just say, you look ridiculous.
Thank you. That's why you should watch this show on our YouTube channel. Go to our YouTube channel. God, I look
John,
horrible.
do you see what this guy's wearing?
I mean, you would look ridiculous without the headphones because bucket hats are ridiculous if you're not on a fishing boat. But you've got a bucket hat on and you've got the sides flipped up.
Also, should we draw attention to the elephant in the room? The colors that we're wearing on this Friday. We typically would all wear red to remember everyone deployed, but we figured with Mizzou homecoming, we would take a brief pause and continue next week. And Branden was a part of that conversation, and I knew he was going to wear red and make the rest of us look bad. Well,
I've got both. As a matter of fact, if you all will chat here for a minute, I can take some of my clothes off and change real quick into black and gold. But so out of being serious, when I thought about this, I'm like, well, I still love the Red Friday thing. We wear red to remember everyone deployed. And we're not saying that to brag, just maybe to remind you. And I thought, well, wearing red is more important than a homecoming parade. That's where so I'm in both.
You were in agreement when we made this decision yesterday.
Well, that's why I'm playing both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And we wear red to remember everyone deployed. But of course, big thing. We want to fact check this thing about Mizzou being the first and biggest homecoming parade in the nation, because I've been hearing it. And for the most part, I grew up in Missouri, or is it Missouri? Can you believe there's polling about this, actually?
I can.
Stephanie and I started conflict on Twitter with a couple Wake Up family members this week.
Oh, nice. We should do that when we do some presidential polling numbers. They continue to look good. They continue to increase for Trump v. Biden. They continue to look good, not just for Trump, not just for Republicans, but that looks good for the country. We'll get into some of that maybe at 6:35, Missouri or Missouri. And we'll do some pole dancing, the presidential race. Things continue to get better for President Trump on that. Rolling Stones, John's favorite band, is doing something remarkable this weekend, something they haven't done in, I think it's like 18 years, John. I don't know how long.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Been a while. Doing something this weekend they haven't done, and we've got a taste that you'll be able to sample here. Winners and losers coming up at 8:35. Jim Jordan, we still have no Speaker of the House. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's saying, Marjorie Taylor, I want some perspective here. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is, I don't know a polite way to put it.
A crazy person?
Careful.
Thank you. Well, I always get conflicted whenever we talk about a female politician, because I know sometimes people, well, it's just because they're a female. No, we call it like it is, regardless of the gender. Like, I don't know if anybody has seen the picture of the Columbia Mayor, Barbara Buffalo. My goodness. I think the only thing that's gotten more hits than Hannah's wedding photos, which you can see on the Wake Up Mid-Missouri Facebook page. Numerous people personally and via our text and via Facebook going, holy cow, did you see the picture of the Columbia Mayor, Barbara Buffalo? She's wearing a shirt.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm the effing mayor. That's cool. Unless you're the mayor of a city that's trying to attract businesses here or trying to get a new police chief. I'm thinking of these 3 police chief candidates that were just in town going, holy cow, that's the mayor. I'm thinking of businesses that want to come and drop money here in mid-Missouri, and the mayor is allegedly wearing a shirt. We've seen the pictures. Haven't been able to confirm. Apparently, she's not denying it, best I can tell. It doesn't look photoshopped or anything.
I was going to say that was a topic of discussion on the Gary Nolan show yesterday, was the possibility that it could be photoshopped.
Yeah, and that's the possibility, hence the word allegedly. I would like to hope it's not true. However, confirmation bias, pattern of behavior with somebody who's that progressive, it's incredibly embarrassing, especially when you're trying to recruit businesses. Fortunately, we don't have a bunch of people coming to town this weekend.
Yeah, try to book a motel room.
Yeah. Jim Jordan, he still wants to be speaker.
I'm still running for speaker, and I plan to go to the floor and get the votes and win this race.
We'll see. I don't want to play this. Matt Gaetz, and I don't even know if I need to comment on this. Matt Gaetz yesterday.
I'm against speaker light.
So he's referring to the idea, what about McHenry, the dude who's doing it now? Why don't we just, at least in the interim, so we quit embarrassing the Republican Party while we have some momentum, why don't we just put this guy in there for a while?
I'm against speaker light. I'm against Bud Light. I believe it is a constitutional desecration to not elect a Speaker of the House.
Matt Gaetz says it's a constitutional desecration.
This is your fault, bro.
Amen, sister. My goodness. The hypocrisy on all sides. Wow. 874-9390. 874-9390. Joe Biden, in his speech last night, wants to send more money to Israel and Ukraine because we are doing... I sound really dark and facetious this morning, and that's not my intent, but...
It's a feel-good Friday, man.
I know. He wants to send more of your money to other countries because we are doing so well here. Here's something to feel good about. MU Homecoming Parade is tomorrow. Starts at 9 o'clock. Stephanie Bell and I incredibly grateful to again. And we're not saying it to brag. It's just like, what an honor.
It's really cool.
Yeah, and we'll be there in downtown, real close to City Hall, where the mayor lives sometimes. So we're super excited about that, and then of course we've got the big Tiger tailgate. Details on where you can get your free passes.
Look at what you just stepped in.
You are about to enter the no zone.
This is the O'Reilly Factor with Branden Rathert.
Yes, I hit Brandon with a stick.
The O'Reilly Factor. So I have heard for years, because every time Stephanie and Belle and I get asked to MC the homecoming parade, well, it's the first, it's the biggest in the nation, and And it occurred to me, I repeat that, and I try to be very careful. And New York Times learned a lesson a couple of days ago about this hospital bombing, blaming Israel for it. Well, they probably haven't learned their lesson. But I thought, I should really check that here in the O'Reilly factor. And that's what we do. We take what politicians, what news outlets say, and we run it through the BS meter to see if it is indeed true. So is it home to the first ever homecoming parade in America? Well, according to Wikipedia, tradition of homecoming has its origins in alumni football games held at colleges and universities since the 19th century. As a matter of fact, the board game Trivial Pursuit, the game show Jeopardy, they typically give the title to
us, of course.
University of Missouri's 1911 football game, during which alumni were encouraged to attend. It appears to be the first homecoming-like event which was centered on a parade and football game.
There was also a spirit rally and a bonfire. 10,000 alumni came home. The athletic director again, homecoming wasn't a word. He just encouraged people to come home. Yeah. So really well attended. I love this. We played the Jayhawks, apparently, in our football game, and the game ended in a 3-3 tie. That's a weird score. And can you even you can't tie, right?
There's no ties in football. There's no ties. So join us tomorrow.
Especially with the Jayhawks.
Right.
Yeah. 1911. So, according to Trivial Pursuit and Jeopardy, Mizzou credited very first homecoming parade.
And the NCAA.
And the NCAA credits us, too. And you get your free passes for our Tiger Tailgate, Buffalo Wild Wings, Bud Light, High Noon. Also, Echo Water Systems, Hy-Vee, Twain Barbecue and Tap Room right by Central Bank in downtown Columbia. Incredible barbecue. You can get your free passes. Vaughn Pools and Spas in Jeff City and Columbia and in Mexico. Graff and Sons, 874-9390. Getting ready for the Daily DC Rundown. Larry is in Columbia. Larry, let me ask you this first. What is it that you are grateful for on a Feel Good Friday?
An awesome family.
Amen. What's on your mind?
Well, everybody keeps talking about how the Republicans have been embarrassing for probably the past 50 years because they're not being Republicans. So in perspective, they haven't been upholding hardly any Republican values. And that's what's got us in this position is we have all these people that don't have any values. They are part of the swamp, and I'm not a huge MAGA Trump supporter, but it's ridiculous. And at some point, you know what? You got to stand your ground, and if it costs you something, you at least try to do the right thing.
Larry, I appreciate your phone call, man, and I feel your pain. It's especially frustrating when you see, because we're going to share some poll numbers. Trump continues to have some growing support when it comes to poll numbers. It's like, man, this is such a wonderful time, especially after the big red wave that did not materialize in 2022. What a great opportunity, and just doesn't seem to be helping. Coming up 5 minutes from now, your Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
I've been wondering what happened to this guy, that Army private who ran into North Korea. We're getting an
support our critical partners, including Israel and Ukraine.
Joe Biden last night addressing the nation, 7 o'clock our time, wants to send some more money over there. And that is getting us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
Who exactly is going to send that request to? Because we don't have a speaker. We are on a continuing resolution. We don't have our full budget. It's a mess. I think there's going to be another vote today. It's not looking good for Jim Jordan, but it's not really looking good for anybody else.
We think there's going to be another vote today. We also thought we would have a Speaker of the House by now.
We really did. So that's going on. Meanwhile, we are hearing about newly appointed Senator LaFonza Butler. She was appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom, and there are already several people in that race. Let's see. Katie Porter, Adam Schiff, Barbara Lee, and everyone's like, hello. And she said, I'm not going to be running. And I think when she was appointed, people are like, she doesn't even live here. But she's saying, there'd be all this fundraising and I'm already behind and whatever. So I'm sure the folks that are already in the race are glad to hear that she won't be running for re-election, I guess, or election to a full term.
Gavin Newsom keeps saying to us he's not going to be running for president, maybe in 2024 is what a lot of folks think, because we're about to find out Biden's polling numbers against Trump continue to go down. But Gavin Newsom is going to Israel to give California's support to Israel.
He's running. Yeah. He totally is. All right, we're finding out more information, too, about this Army private who ran into North Korea. Apparently, he had some stuff already going on at the time that he did that. He, they said he was in a South Korean prison on assault charges. He had gotten out, and then he left for North Korea. He was there for a while, and then they were like, this dude's got to go. They expelled him, and then he was flown back to the U.S., and I'm thinking, what is going on here? Well, he's now being detained by the military. He's facing 8 counts. Charges include desertion, which is pretty serious, and then also possessing sexual images of a child. So, again, that's Private Travis King. So we are learning more about him. And we are also learning more about Georgia and Sidney Powell. This was, all over the news yesterday. I was shocked. I was actually it was midday and I was in a meeting and someone turned their phone around and was like, oh my goodness. I mean, it's really bizarre. She pled guilty to reduced charges. She's the second person. I think there are a total of 18 co-conspirators in the full indictment, Trump plus 17 others. And then there's like unnamed co-conspirators. But she's like the first big domino to fall. I saw some interesting stuff yesterday on Twitter from someone who, Jeff Smith, is that right? Who was charged in Missouri, and people are asking him, what's up with this? And he said, generally, like the first person to fall gets the better deal, I think was his gist on Twitter. And as, more people start talking, then you get less of a chance to take the deal for yourself. But certainly she knows a lot of information specifically about Trump. And she has said, so not only she's going to get 6 years of probation, she's going to get fined $6,000. She has to write an apology letter to Georgia and its residents. But she's also recorded a statement for prosecutors and has agreed to testify against her co-defendants, which would include Trump.
And I'm wondering about this. Like, is that a situation where she's just going, you know what? It's going to just be easier. It's like when a company gets sued, instead of going to trial, they're like, we'll cut you a check for $1 million now. Is she just saying, you know what? It's easier to take this plea
And one of my friends said, Hannibal, you should hire a second line to follow you through the street. I said, what is that? He said, second line is a band, mostly brass instruments. You can hire them to follow you through the street. So basically in New Orleans, for $300, you can have your own parade on a day's notice. I said, this sounds great. How do I do this? You got to go to the police station. They have a parades department. New Orleans police has a parades department. There's homicide, there's narcotics, and there's parades.
It's a comedy of Hannibal Buress. He was the guy, incidentally, that exposed Bill Cosby. As we get ready for the big homecoming, we keep saying homecoming parade. There's other things besides the parade, a whole slew of events for homecoming weekend.
A lot of other things. I think tonight's like house decks, I assume, still. And so big Greek town type stuff. And then tomorrow, obviously, a football game, tailgate, all sorts of good stuff.
I was going through downtown Columbia yesterday, and so there's a crowd of people around a store, and I'm like, oh, I better pick up the phone and call John Marsh, Brian Hauswirth, and say, hey, just so you know, something's going on. We better get out in the air and report this. And they're painting stuff. It was students.
It's really exciting. That's one of the best. I was in Greek life in my heyday. And yes. And it was, but it's really fun at the parade because at homecoming, there's like this huge competition. And, obviously got homecoming queen and king, but the Greek organizations and other student organizations compete against each other for like spirit and other things. And the parade is one component of that. So they're floats, and then there's usually some sort of skit right when they come through near us. It's just so creative. It's on like theme. They've written a whole script. There's tons of, they're all participating. Sometimes there's like a synchronized dance. It's fun. They do a good job.
It's a good time. Stephanie and I are going to be emceeing in downtown, I think close to City Hall, pretty a block or two, or right catty corner from that. So if you get a chance, come and say hello. It's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. That is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Decked out in the black and gold, as is Mrs. Producer Hannah.
Stephanie and I are wearing like the opposite of each other.
Oh, we are.
We're like inverted versions of each other.
Just be glad we're not wearing what Brandon's wearing, because you absolutely look ridiculous.
John. So I didn't say anything about the bucket hat this morning, but my very first thought when I got here at 5 was Stephanie's going to hate that. And I was right.
You know why I'm wearing this?
Because Stephanie hates it.
874-9390. Listen,
that's Brandon's tailgate attire, man. He always rocks the bucket hat at our Tiger tailgate.
He's just missing the blue rain poncho and the flip-flops.
There you go.
I have pictures. There was Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Johnny Depp's character, he's got the big old glasses and the bucket hat. And I did a picture from Tiger Tailgate last month, and kind of looks like I should wear those shades while I'm doing the show.
All you needed was a long cigarette holder and a Marlboro.
And that would have worked. You can see the ridiculousness by watching the show. A couple of different ways you can watch Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Yeah, you can watch on the Wake Up Mid-Missouri Facebook page or the Wake Up Mid-Missouri YouTube channel. And my favorite part is right at 6 o'clock this morning, Brandon was trying to figure out how to wear the bucket hat with his headphones.
So it flaps down or flaps up?
Where's the clip of you talking about flaps out your rear?
Does one look better than the other? That's the other question.
I think bucket hats are like the Crocs of headwear.
Correct.
I only get to wear the bucket hat. This bucket hat, John, I get to wear it basically 3 times a year, and I'll wear it tomorrow. You have that to look forward to,
Only
Steph.
Acceptable if you're on a boat and holding a fishing pole.
So I wear the bucket hat, Mizzou Tiger tailgates, the parade, and then when I go to Idaho in the summer on vacation. And
there you go.
You wear that on vacation?
Well, I wear a different one. Sometimes I'll wear this one.
He wears his nice one.
I wear
This is the one that's, if we're not mistaken, this is Brandon's Gamecock hunting cap.
That's right. We're going hunt for Gamecocks. Let's get us Mizzou, South Carolina game tomorrow, 2:30, which means our Tiger tailgate starts 2 hours prior to that, 12:30.
The math wasn't mathing there.
Math ain't working too well. Sorry. It was a late night last night. Great event, YMCA, Jefferson City. Stephanie and I have posted a picture of that. You can see what everybody is saying on that picture. They're all very consistent in their comments about that picture.
Oh, yeah.
Which is on the Wake Up Mid-Missouri Facebook page. Also, pictures of Hannah from her wedding. Hannah, of course, getting married last weekend. And then we're at another big event tonight in Jefferson City. If you'd like to come out and join us for that.
hanging out with the Jaybirds over at Adkins Stadium. Big game with the Jays tonight, and we're going to be over there with our buds from Central Bank with your paid admission. Get a free T-shirt, feed you dinner, and the whole 9 yards. About starting 5 o'clock.
And listen, this is going to sound weird, but I'm dead serious. They have the best hot dogs I think I've ever had in my life.
They're
like
really good.
Quarter-pound hot dogs from Hy-Vee, John, right?
You bet, boy, and Coke products and chips, and so we'll hook you up. Just buy your ticket, and we'll see all the Jaybirds later today over at Adkins Stadium.
All right, let's go pole dancing. And I don't know whether we want to start with Americans' trust in mass media, national news outlets. We could start there. We could look at some of the presidential polling. And polling for what it's worth, but I think one of the things that Stephanie and I are in agreement on is something we have been paying attention to with a wicked close eye over the past couple of months, polling for what it's worth. I will say this, polling continues to consistently show Trump beating and then gaining on Biden if the election were held today. Again, snapshot, moment in time, couple thousand voters. But new polling shows Trump is beating Biden in 6 of the 7 swing states. This is according to polling conducted by Bloomberg News in the Morning Consult. This is Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, 7 key battlegrounds, and the returns not boding well for Biden because it's the economy. Stupid. John, is there any way people that we can get around? You know what it is, right? It's the economy. I don't understand how some of these folks still think that Biden is doing a good job, how they get around it. Swing voters trust Trump significantly more than Biden on the economy with independence. And I always talk about the importance of independence, and I'll go back to the big red wave 2022. We were counting on the independents for that big red wave. That did not materialize, as we know. So even independents are kind of like, yeah, okay, this is really bad. More polling this morning. This from St. Louis University and YouGov.
Oh, yeah. We are settling the debate once and for all between Missouri and Missouri. Those of you who know me know that I say Missouri.
Yeah, because you're smart.
My law partner, Mark, says Missouri. You have heard it here on the show before, and we always get, Hannah said we get a lot of hate mail.
Yeah. So Stephanie tweeted this poll on her Twitter, which is Stephanie Espel, and I responded and tagged Mark Ellinger. I said, does Mark Ellinger know that we get hate mail every time we have him on the show for this very reason?
And it used to be kind of a political thing. Like folks would like, I think Roy Blunt says Missouri, and a lot of like you would go to the country and you would, and some people would switch. They would say Missouri if they were like in St. Louis, and they would say Missouri if they were in the Boot Hill.
Hit Bond, famous, always a Missouri guy.
Well, now this new poll, now mind you, Scott Fahn pointed out it's from St. Louis, so maybe we shouldn't trust it. But
he said that on Twitter, and then they responded to his tweet, so that was a little awkward. But
it said the poll found less than 10% of folks actually say Missouri, 90% say Missouri, and it could be generational, with only 3% of voters under 29 saying Missouri. I think that's right. I think younger people say Missouri.
Well, look at where like Governor Mike Parson, Roy Blunt, they were both from Southwest Missouri. Pretty common down there. I spent some years growing up in Southeast Missouri, in Perry County, Missouri. And that was the norm. As a matter of fact, my parents, in effect, had to break me of saying Missouri because that's what I was growing up around. Like, hey, just so you know, when we moved back to St. Louis, it's Missouri. It's not Missouri. And then I went back to Southeast Missouri to go to school for a couple of weeks at Southeast Missouri State University. And it was Missouri. And I wanted to tell you, it's not Missouri. It's Missouri.
So we got a text from listener James at 874-9390. He said, I always feel that politicians who use Missouri are pandering and fake. I've lived here my whole life, and I've never talked like that.
And again, I'll go back to where a lot of the politicians, I mean, you don't hear somebody like, let's say like a Cherie Tolson Rice from the heart of Missouri. She doesn't say Missouri. It's the folks, I think, mostly from the rural side. Is it mostly a southern Missouri thing, John, you think, whether it's southwest Missouri or southeast Missouri? Once you get north of 44, you get north of 70, do we hear the term Missouri a whole lot?
If you're hanging out with politicians, you sure do. But that's about it.
Well, I'd say like Kirksville probably. There are people probably who say Missouri.
874-9390, 874-9390. Sean says state of Missouri derives its name from the Missouri Indians. This may be where the differences in Missouri and the correct Missouri come from. Well, the other thing is, what's the last letter in the word Missouri?
I.
Missouri. And that's
Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri or Missouri. So a lot of folks say, well, if you're being particular, it could be Missouri, and that's where it comes from. But Missouri is too hard to say. So
I remember they did a thing at the Capitol a number of years ago, and they pitted state employees against each other, and they handed out T-shirts that said Missouri EE or Missouri AH on them, and I think Missouri even won that competition.
Were they encouraging conflict in the workplace?
I think they were.
I'm going to guess that one didn't come from HR.
There's a really interesting text about this. We'll share that coming up 5 minutes from now. John's favorite band of all time. Is it the Stones, John? Boone third graders in Mr. Hennessy's class singing Yellow Submarine. Actually, one of Steph Bell's kids part of that.
Oh, yeah. And today, you guys just got to see her face. We FaceTimed her. It's Eden's birthday, so happy birthday, Eden. She's going to go celebrate with her friends at Southern Boone.
Very cool. Happy birthday. Do you want to get a lot of text about? So there's actually polling on this morning. So 3 big polls. Americans Trust, national news outlets. That's going down the tubes. Trump is beating Biden. This is according to some pretty substantial polling. This is polling conducted from Bloomberg News and Morning Consult. 7 states. Trump is beating Biden in 5 of 7 swing states, tied in 6. And then this polling from SLU and YouGov.
Yes, it is I guess it's a poll, about 900 people, whether you say Missouri or Missouri, and they break it down by age. And only 3% of younger folks actually say Missouri.
Which honestly seems high because
I thought the same thing.
I have not met anyone remotely close to my age who says Missouri.
I think Ellinger's about the youngest guy who says Missouri.
Sean, so Missouri ends with the letter I, too. I wonder if is that one of the things that caught on as Missouri? But we don't say Mississippi. Well, in Mississippi, there are some folks, actually, that say Mississippi because Mississippi also ends with an I. You say Mississippi. You don't say Mississippi unless you're from Mississippi.
I remember growing up, we went to a Mizzou KU football game many years ago, and there was a drunk KU fan behind us arguing with the Mizzou fan next to him about the fact that Mizzou should not be spelled with Z's and it should have S's in the middle. I distinctly remember that one.
Yeah, rock chalk, shut up.
Wake up in Missouri. Here's Mr. John Marsh. Good morning.
You betcha.
You doing all right this morning, John?
I'm doing fine. Don't bring up the Hawks around me.
Sorry.
And I want to correct something I just said. I said wake up mid-Missouri. It's wake up mid-Missouri. Stephanie Bell.
You need to start hitting the dump button.
Oh, my goodness. I'm Team Missouri all the way.
It's producer Hannah.
Hello.
Glad you are here as we're getting ready for the big homecoming weekend. Make sure you join us. Tiger Tailgate, one of the biggest. It's really the biggest Tiger Tailgate there is with High Noon, Bud Light, Buffalo Wild Wings.
It's going to be a good crowd.
Oh, my goodness, man. It's just a good time to go and hang out with a bunch of folks and eat some free food, by the way, free drinks. It's a good time. Twain Barbecue and Tap Room, Echo Water Systems, Hy-Vee. So if you are in Jefferson City, you can go to Big O Tires, the one in Missouri, or on Jefferson Street. If you are in Lynn, you can stop by Casper 66 this morning. In Columbia, you can go to Twain, Missouri Barbecue and Tap Room. You just walk in. And don't feel, because I'm one of those, I feel weird about going somewhere and asking for free stuff, even though it's free.
You do?
I do.
Yeah, but you always pull the line, don't you know who I am?
I never do that. But if I do, I say, don't you know who I am? I'm the guy that works with producer Hannah.
You're the guy with the cool hat.
By the way, I want to give a shout out to Nathan, who serves our country. So I always call this a boonie hat instead of a bucket hat. And most folks go, oh, it's not a boonie. Nathan says, yeah, it's a boonie hat. And I appreciate you saying that, brother, because I call it a boonie hat instead of a bucket hat. Either way, I don't know if I look more ridiculous today or Monday. I think Monday on the show. I wore pajamas on the show Monday. My dad came in and co-hosted.
Why?
Because I was getting ready for a medical procedure, and I thought, you know what? Here's why.
In case you had an accident.
No. Oh, God. No. But
there you go. Were they black and gold is the next question.
Brown.
Why is he supporting the NFL's Cleveland Browns this weekend? I felt empowered because I always talk about, and I never do it, but when I get, when we go to these events like last night, as a matter of fact, this big YMCA event in Jefferson City, whenever I go to these events, a couple weeks ago, I MC GOP annual chili supper, Lincoln Days, things like that, I always say, I'm going to go in flip-flops. And it's not a thing. I just wear flip-flops. Shoes I find incredibly uncomfortable. My feet are claustrophobic. And I don't, because I do believe in decorum. And so I wear shoes. And finally, GOP chili supper a couple weeks ago, I thought, you know what? I'm going to put on, a nice jacket. I'm going to put on the nice jeans. I'm going to look good, put on the nice shirt. But I'm going to wear the flip-flops. And I always wanted to do it. And I did it. And you know what they said at that chili
that one out of the archives because it fits today.
That was in reference to...
As you try to figure out what to do with your flaps.
So we literally, and this was a gift, I think, from Stephanie Bell.
I think that was from producer Hannah.
I am offended. I tore apart our break room for that.
This is a gift from producer Hannah, as I was saying.
It's a very nice gift.
But whenever we get into conspiracy theories, we have, thanks to Mrs. Producer Hannah, have an actual tinfoil hat.
Actually, thanks to Zimmer, since Hannah told us she just stole that from the break room.
Well, I'll give it back so they can use it to make pie when they're done.
I think Brandon had bought it like a year ago anyways, so it's a circular movement.
Did I buy it?
I think we were going to pie you in the face for something.
Oh, then maybe I did buy it. Maybe it was from me. I think it was me.
So I put this aluminum foil hat on, and there's the flaps, and they look weird. And this morning I'm wearing...
You also look weird.
This morning, and you can see... by watching 2 different ways you can watch the show.
Yeah, you can search Wake Up Mid-Missouri on both Facebook and YouTube. And I actually was texted a photo this morning, Brandon. Have I shown you this yet?
No.
My mom texted me a photo and said that you look like Gilligan from Gilligan's Island. Because this morning you had on a red pullover, and it's very fitting.
Hey, little buddy.
What a great show. So usually on Fridays we wear red. Remember, everyone deployed. By the way, big news story. So Joe Biden on the TV, he wants to take more of your money and send it to other countries because we're doing so well here. Primetime speech. Yeah, great opportunity for the president. Everybody loves a wartime president. I know where you're not in war, but people are all united pretty much, except for a lot of Democrats, all pretty much united with what's happening in Israel. Joe Biden taking advantage of this on primetime TV. Still no Speaker of the House. There's some traffic congestion this morning. And right now, things on the tri-level smoother than a House Speaker vote.
Don't say that too loud.
Any other big... Those are the big things. Is there anything else?
That's on the nationwide level.
Yeah.
On the state level, I can't get over this Lori Rook. She's running as a Republican for state treasurer, and yesterday she gave her campaign a cool $500,000. And I'm just thinking, if I had $500,000 sitting in the bank, would I use it to run for state treasurer? No, absolutely not. I wouldn't.
And you're free, the people are free to do that. It's just... my experience, I don't know who she is. I've never heard of her.
She's an attorney. She does apparently like estate planning law. She's from Southwest Missouri.
Yeah,
that's all I know.
And it'll be interesting, but I mean, she's going to have to get some name ID, but she can use some of that to purchase media. There is one other thing locally, Brandon, we should mention. Of course, the homecoming, and I know you and Stephanie will be the MCs tomorrow. That's big. This murder sentencing at 9 at the Boone County Courthouse, Samuel Brotherton, is bigger than just a Columbia case. And they don't say, Stephanie knows this as an attorney. I'm guessing someone in the Boone County Prosecutor's Office must have known. They must have known someone. Maybe there was a conflict of some kind, but the Attorney General himself, Andrew Bailey, is handling this case, a murder case, and we just don't see that very often in a murder case in Columbia. Not since I've been here. No, we've had it over the years occasionally where they'll come in. This is fairly rare, but the Samuel Brotherton thing will be a big deal. Killed his stepfather. He admitted that in open court. He'll be sentenced today.
All right. Traffic, bridges, fine, homecoming this weekend.
Very few hotel rooms.
Yeah, very few hotel rooms. Excuse me. So those are the big stories. No House Speaker, Biden speaking last night.
Brandon, is like you said that you would rent out the extra room at your house, though, right? If somebody needed a room for this weekend.
Also on the show this morning. So polling shows that Trump is now in 5 of 7 swing states. He is now beating or tying Biden. That's a big deal. Other polling this morning regarding Missouri from St. Louis University and YouGov. Overwhelmingly, it's Missouri.
Correct.
And according to our audience, not very different. And especially you look at younger folks, according to this polling, very few younger people say Missouri. I think is it mostly a southern thing? Because they haven't, no?
No, Northeast Missouri. No, they say in Northeast Missouri, they call it Northeast Missouri. I worked in Carrollton. Everyone up there called it Missouri. So I want to know where this poll was taken. Who was
St. Louis.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm going to tell you, you go outside of St. Louis or Kansas City, people say Missouri. Mark Ellinger's not far off the mark on that. Kit Bond, and Jay Nixon, when he would go around the state, when he would go to St. Louis and Kansas City, he would call it Missouri, but he wouldn't go to rural areas. He would call it Missouri. And he admitted that. I mean, and obviously it did well. He was elected twice as governor. But I do believe, I think that poll is off. I really do.
I'm surprised we haven't heard from Mark Ellinger or Scott Fawn yet this morning.
Or John Ashcroft. He was a big Missouri guy.
Yeah,
always.
and the boot heel, Missouri, no question about it. And so to your point, you would think it's Southern, but it's not. And you go up to.
I think it's old.
The Iowa, well, maybe. I mean, but the Iowa, Missouri border up there with Illinois, they call it
Iowa.
They call it Missouri.
Illinois.
We're not known, especially when it comes to our cities, for good pronunciation.
Matter of fact, it was Enunciations. Been new here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri, I don't know, a few weeks, and maybe kind of felt like I was floundering because you want to come out of the gate and you want to hit a home run, and wasn't. And I was talking about a news event out of Lebanon, Missouri. Woo!
Every once in a while, if I send you a message that includes maybe a vase, you kind of look at me like, how the heck do I say that?
Yeah. And to your credit, that's a good point about a vase. But on Lebanon,
about Versailles.
Versailles, another one. But Lebanon, I see TV say that mispronounce it too. Very few people know that one.
Right.
I wouldn't worry about that too much.
Also got Nevada.
Nevada, yeah. So it was October of 2015, right around homecoming time, and somebody laid into that. Well, and the guy was. It's weird what people get passionate about sometimes, but like he was angry. It's Lebanon. You keep saying Lebanon. It's not Lebanon. It's Lebanon. And he was mad. And like people started calling, and it and here's other weird things we say, and that's kind of when I felt like, oh, I'm accepted now.
Do you hear that?
Oh yeah.
Marching Mizzou's just outside our studio. Yeah.
Marching Mizzou is in the house.
Yes, they are.
Here, let me turn that up.
Stick the mic out the window.
I think they're coming through.
Well, we can't hear it right now.
I can hear it in my headphones. That's about it.
People listening in their cars are like, I have no idea what they're talking about.
But they're definitely here. I just saw them come through the newsroom.
This is better than when they come to mow the yard or something while we're on the air.
CVS has pulled some popular cold medicines from some of their store shelves because after all these years, one of the ingredients, phenylephrine, the FDA says, this stuff doesn't really work.
And I think like your doctor tells you that when you go and you're like, I have a cold, and they're like, just wait it out or whatever. But for whatever reason, it feels better if I can just like go to the local pharmacy and like take
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that stuff seemed to work for Lil Wayne all these years. So,
Lil
Good
Wayne.
one.
Can you give some context there, Marsh?
well, it's a part of the crew that likes to have the scissorp, as we defer to the dog. But yeah, mixing up their drinks and adding the prescription cough syrup to it. Kids, don't do this at home.
We just got a text confirming that the Marching Mizzou cannot be heard
Okay.
listening in the cars,
Thank
so
you.
we just
All
sound
right.
like crazy
So
people.
Let's move forward. But it got me thinking about other things that people think that works that don't.
Placebo effect.
Yeah. Cranberry juice. You get a UTI? Drink cranberry juice. Doesn't do anything unless you're drinking about 1,000 glasses of cranberry juice a day.
And you have Ocean Spray stock in your portfolio.
So the other thing interesting about that, so I've been knowing this for years, it doesn't do anything. But if you go and like research it, you'll find some of these obscure sites saying, hey, new evidence shows that the ingredient in cranberry juice, the ingredient, not cranberry juice, but the main ingredient in cranberries helps fight UTIs. And it's people like cranberries, the Ocean Spray that puts out these studies. And the key thing is the ingredient in it. Now, if you drink a glass of cranberry, it's not going to do anything. But as Hannah just said, it's the placebo effect.
The one thing that's almost gotten me, and I really want to try it, and I've come really close, is it's on like the socials, on the Reels and the TikTok right now. But if you eat enough, is it beta carotene? Like if you eat enough carrots or carrot juice, your skin will like naturally tan from the inside out. And it will give you like this healthy glow. And I'm like, how many carrots exactly do you have to eat a day before you start turning orange?
What's up, Doc?
What's up, Trump?
But a lot of people apparently are doing this, and apparently you can actually take a supplement like a pill that has whatever carrots have in it, and some other things, and it will turn you orange. And it's a healthier way than going out in the sun, I think.
There you go, beta carotene, right?
And if you have any of those things we hear, that chicken soup. When you have a cold, it doesn't do anything.
If you've tried eating carrots to get tan, I want to know if it works.
Yeah. But people, chicken soup. It's sometimes the heat can help. It relaxes your throat, and then the steam from the soup can help clear up but it does. It really, in effect, it does nothing.
The first one that I think of, and this might get me in trouble with a couple listeners, but some folks are so invested in essential oils.
I was just thinking of snake oil because, seriously, that's what some of this stuff is.
Well, I use a couple essential oils, and, if I have a headache or I'm feeling stressed, I might use some lavender, peppermint oil. But some people, man, they're real into their oils.
So I recently purchased, I added some Crocs to my collection, right?
And sorry.
And I told them, I used the word snake oil because they said, hey, for $5, you can buy this bottle of Croc Shine. And it's something you put on the outside of your Crocs to protect them or make them shinier. And I was like, are you kidding me? These are already expensive enough. And this is literally if your Crocs get dirty, that's the whole point. They're Crocs. You use soap and water. I don't need $5 of whatever Croc Shine is.
My faith in humanity is diminishing.
Hey, before we get into What's Hot with Hannah at 7:25 on a Feel Good Friday, Stone's doing something they haven't done in 18 years. This is John Marsh's favorite rock band of all time. Have a new album coming out called Hackney Diamonds. Folks are saying it's good. We're going to do a taste here for you before we get into What's Hot with Hannah coming up at 7:25-ish.
Did you guys know I got married last weekend?
That's coming up next. Morning 7:25-ish, which means it's
Oh, it's 7:26 there, Gilligan.
time for What's Hot with Hannah. I look like Gilligan, red shirt and boonie hat.
Yeah, just a little bit. I've already gotten text with photos doing a side-by-side comparison.
We also have a bunch of text about essential oils and things that people think work for like medical purposes that don't. This is because CVS is pulling all cold medicine with phenylephrine because the FDA said, hey, that cold medicine you've been taking for years, phenylephrine doesn't work. Cranberry juice also does not really work for UTIs, and chicken soup really does nothing for a cold. So we're getting some text on that we might share, but right now it is time for What's Hot with Hannah.
All the folks who were ready for me to get married so I'd stop talking about wedding planning. Now I get to just talk about the wedding, right? See how long I can ride this out before we start getting folks calling pineapple on the subject.
Play it up.
I wanted to share a photo. I just posted this video to the Wake Up Mid-Missouri Facebook page, and I had posted on my personal Facebook earlier in the week, and a lot of people found it entertaining, so I wanted to share. And it's a video of my now husband and I walking into our wedding reception hand in hand. There's music playing. We're holding red and blue flashing lights, and he has his fire helmet on. And when I go in for a smooch, I totally bounced my skull off of the visor.
And it's pretty good.
On his fire helmet. And, I was okay, obviously, but it hurt pretty good. Yeah. And obviously that's a very minor thing that went wrong, but I'm curious if anybody in the Wake Up family has heard stories or has witnessed stories of bad things happening at weddings.
So did you post this on the Wake Up Mid-Missouri Facebook page?
I did.
It's John, I don't know if you've had a chance to check it out yet. Hannah showed it to me the other day because I didn't catch it when it was happening, because here's how big of a deal Mrs. Producer Hannah's wedding was. Like Chris Arps and his wife, they came all the way from St. Louis to be a part of this, and we're over there talking, and y'all come in. So where I was angled, I saw the kiss but didn't see the thing. And Hannah showed it to me the other day, and I'm like, yeah, it's really good.
I hit my head hard enough that when we got to our head table, I turned and looked at my husband, and I was like, is there a line across my face from the visor? And there was obviously a lot of firefighters at the wedding, and every one of them noticed, of course, because they could probably relate. But yeah, we did not rehearse the entrance with his helmet on, and we probably should have. But yeah, bounced my skull right off of his helmet.
And I want to say this is on a personal level, Hannah. This is the show aside. Remember how, and I get it, that's what happens. I did the same thing in all of my weddings. Leading up to the wedding, I didn't worry about the details. They worried about it. But I know, and you get stressed and everything, and you're worried if this goes wrong and this is what happens. And that fear, like with a lot of things in life, leading up to a big moment, there's all these fears. Most of them never realized, but we live in that fear and it affects us. And here it is. 7:30, Feel Good Friday, getting ready for homecoming weekend. And one of the big things you're sharing is a slight minor malfunction. And that you will always
Coach at halftime, I got a couple plays I'm going to recommend to him. That's a foul. These refs are horrible. I need like some kind of cushion or something. These bleachers are killing my hips.
Does that really happen in high school and grade school and middle school sporting events, Steph? You've got parents. You got little kids. One of them turning 6 today. They play sports. Does that stuff really happen?
Eden's turning 7, but yes, it is. It really happens. It's crazy.
When you go to
Brad Trinago sounds a little different these days.
Does that sound like Brad Trinago?
It's like a Southern Trinago.
This is the worst officiated game I've ever seen.
You know what? Marsh, I agree with Hannah.
Kind of sort of. Almost sounded like play-by-play from Missouri women.
Yeah, it's like if Brad Trinago is trying to talk in a Southern accent. That's what it sounds like.
Man, Brad Trinago, former Wake Up Mid-Missouri family member.
Southern Boone faces Blair Oaks tonight. Big game.
Big game.
Yeah.
Tri-County Conference, right?
Yep.
That's huge. And then, John, we're going to be hanging out in Jeff City tonight.
Yeah, we're going to be over at Adkins Stadium in Jefferson City with our friends from Central Bank and Hy-Vee and Coke. And we're, with your paid admission, we'll get you a T-shirt. We'll feed you dinner with Hannah's favorite quarter-pound hot dog. So we'll see you over there, 5 o'clock or so over at Adkins Stadium.
And the T-shirts look pretty cool for this one.
Yeah, they do.
Angela Nail, Central Bank's going to be joining us before 8 o'clock. We have winners and losers of the week. If you have some local winners, especially local stuff, we always love that stuff. 874-9390. We try to make sure we get to them on the list at 8:35.
I hope Steph doesn't get mad at me because I have a Blair Oaks winner of the week.
Uh-oh.
Brad Trinago, who now does his stuff with Mizzou Sports, longtime family member of Wake Up Mid-Missouri. One of my favorite calls of all time when he was doing Mizzou women's basketball.
For all the Chick-fil-A, Frericks eyes it and makes it. Get your fried chicken on your own dime, Gamecocks.
And that was a basketball game.
Very good.
I think the Gamecocks had some kind of thing where if they scored a certain point or something, you got free Chick-fil-A, and he does.
This is the worst officiated game I've ever seen.
For all the Chick-fil-A.
Hannah,
I'm on to something, I'm telling you.
You're on it.
And I showed you that tweet from Mizzou Hoops yesterday. I can't get over that, how tall that guy is. They tweeted out this picture. I showed it to you. It's insane, right?
Yeah, he's like with dudes that are 6'5" and 6'8", and then this dude is tall.
So, yeah.
7'14" or something.
I had to Google it because I'm like, okay, these other guys, he's making these other guys look short. I mean, it's like standing next to Brad Trinago. When we stand next to Brad Trinago, I'm like, whoa, this guy's really tall. I'm like, wait a minute, these guys are on the team. They can't be short. They're probably all 6 foot. I Googled it. I think his name's Connor. He's 7'5". Do you know how tall that is? It's insane.
He's a tall dude. Here's some of what we're getting on text this morning, 874-9390. Hannah's posted video on the Wake Up Mid-Missouri Facebook page. It's pretty funny. It's worth going to when you have time or after you get into work at 8 o'clock. It's worth get your coworkers around your desktops. Hey, you got to show this thing, Wake Up Mid-Missouri. When Hannah was getting married, her and her husband, they go to kiss, and he's wearing a fire helmet, and boop.
Bonked my head.
It's bonked in the head.
Which he wears a hat a lot, like a ball cap, and we do that often where we lean in to kiss each other and my forehead hits his ball cap, so I should have known better.
So Hannah asked what any wedding fails that you have seen. Steve says went to a wedding once and the bride and groom's entrance song was Enter Sandman by Metallica. Nothing more odd than the part of the song that says sleep with one eye open.
I was going to say WWE walk-on music.
I saw a TikTok in the months leading up to the wedding of the mother of the bride had tried to steam the bride's veil and her dress with a steamer and had totally burnt a hole in the dress.
Whoa.
And I had sent it to my mom, and we were both traumatized. And my mom ever so generously decided to pay the bridal shop to press and steam my gown before we picked it up.
How about that?
I had a big fail one time. Back in the day, had the side hustle of doing wedding photography for a long time.
Ooh.
And anybody in Mid-Missouri folks know the old adage about if the younger brother gets married before the older brother and they have to dance in the hog trough.
We had a hog trough at my wedding.
And I remember this guy was dancing in the hog trough, feeling no pain till he slipped and went down and split his forehead open on it. Had to take him away for stitches.
Yikes.
I've never heard of that tradition.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing I'd never heard of, you used to be a wedding photographer?
Yes, sir.
How about that?
John's lived almost more lives than Branden Rathert, I think.
That's kind of scary.
That's pretty.
That was back in the days of film, if that tells you how long ago that was.
Branden has so many, like, almost near-death stories. I'm like, how did you make it this far in life? How are you still here?
The bucket hat.
Oh.
By the way, watch the show this morning. You see, we always wear red on Fridays to remember everyone deployed. And we do it not to brag, but to, encourage you to wear red. But today we're wearing black and gold. Steph is still sporting the
red Uggs.
The red Uggs slippers. We're getting ready for homecoming. And if you're going to the homecoming parade, and if you're situated by downtown, I think Steph and I got to be close to City Hall. Hopefully, if you get a chance, come by and say hello. We'll be there about an hour prior. And if we're ignoring you, we're not being rude. We're just prepping.
We're trying to read the script.
Trying to read the scripts. Come by and say hello. So the other thing we're getting text on is pharmacies starting to pull cold meds that contain phenylephrine because the FDA has said, hey, this stuff doesn't really work. And it got us thinking about other things that don't really work. People say, well, drink cranberry juice. It'll help cure a UTI or help ease it. It doesn't. Unless you're drinking about 587,000 glasses of cranberry juice. Chicken noodle soup does nothing for a cold. But the placebo effect can have an effect. And you hear a little bit of the Mizzou marching band in the background there, maybe. But we got talking about essential oils. Hannah says you use some essential oils. Ron says the essential oil that does work for him...
Bacon grease.
Amen. Nicely done, Ron.
Yuck. But people are saying maybe the carrot thing works. And Catherine's saying Bolthouse carrot juice is really good, and she thinks it does give her a glow.
So here's the carrot thing.
It's apparently if you eat a lot of carrots like every day or drink carrot juice or I think take a supplement of beta carotene, people are saying that it will like give you a healthy orange glow.
And everyone accused Trump of eating too many Cheetos.
It was
just
carrots. Just carrots.
Shelley says, I remember feeding my baby sweet taters, carrots, and lots of little babies. I think I misread that she was not. Let me read verbatim. I remember feeding my babies sweet potatoes, carrots, and lots of little babies. That's what it says. Their nose would get a hint of orange. Sally says it's not actually chicken soup that does good for you to help clear out your cold, but it's the bouillon. Bolthouse carrot juice is really good, and I think it helps give me a glow. And she says, this is coming from a freckled girl. How about that?
I'm going to try it.
And then I'm also getting sent articles about essential oils.
I think they're
See
helpful.
that?
Somebody recently gifted me like the rollerball ones. And one's like an energizing one. I think it's lovely.
Which, again, I use essential oils a little bit. I just think that a lot of people drink too much of the Kool-Aid on them and think that they can cure all these crazy diseases.
My stepmonster used to have, she would do these essential oils, and one of them was like a mint oil, and it came in a tiny little jar that I think I had
love
that thing.
peppermint.
Yeah, and man, when I had a headache, I'd put some of that on my hands and cover my, and it worked. It worked for that. It did. It really did.
The dog that I grew up with, as she got older, she would get really bad storm anxiety, and we would have her sniff a little bit of lavender oil, and she would lay down and take a nap. Like, not be so stressed anymore. So, I mean, it has its benefits. It's just, I think people go too far real fast.
Eating banana. Here's another one. If you say you got muscle spasms, eat a banana. And there's no immediate effect to that. But I think if you eat bananas on a regular, whatever it is that's in the banana, again, you got to eat a lot.
Potassium, right?
Potassium. If you eat a lot of it, it can help prevent muscle spasms.
And if you eat the peel, it's even more effective.
Wait, are you being funny or is that true?
I don't know.
I could believe it.
Do you know you can eat the peel of a kiwi?
Ugh,
My kids
the
can.
hairy part?
Yes, and it's like, apparently it's nutritious. They learned this at school in like gardening club or something, and they went for it. And
a lot of roughage, yeah.
Yeah.
My mom just texted us. I hoped she would share this story. She had a mishap with essential oils when she first got into them several years ago. She thought that there was an oil that was going to cure my stepdad's diabetes. And she got these little empty veggie capsules and would put a couple drops of the oil in there and have him take it like a vitamin. And he called from work one day asking if she was trying to kill him. She was using an oil that's considered a hot oil, and so it had pretty much set his entire insides on fire. Yeah.
Your mom and your grandma have fantastic senses of humor. I know now.
Well, she thought she was helping him. She legitimately did
Wink,
not.
wink.
Yeah, allegedly, I guess.
Evan said, here's an essential oil. And I think actually people probably agree on this. Engine oil. You need oil in the engine. All right, coming up a few minutes from now, I'm going to be doing a couple of things. Angela Nail, Central Bank, talking about the big event we're doing. Jefferson City High School tonight. Steph and Hannah and I are going to be out there. So please come by and say hello for that. What you got coming up next, Marsh?
Is Gramps just glad to see you?
That's coming up.
No.
Come on. It's Friday.
Come on, man.
Can we let it pass? Feel good.
this.
The feds have arrested a 77-year-old man. Guess where he's from? Take a wild guess.
Missouri?
Florida man.
That'd be next.
For allegedly buying more than $1,800 worth of erectile dysfunction drugs without a prescription and intending them to sell them in the Central Florida retirement community, The Villages, and elsewhere. He was picked up last month in that community where he lives, along with 80,000 full-time residents. If convicted, he faces a year in prison and $10,000 in fines. Prosecutors say the man received more than $1,800 worth of Viagra. The drugs were misbranded because the guy obtained them without a valid prescription. Have you ever heard of The Villages? There was a documentary about it. There's stories about the sex lives of its residents, rumors about swingers, public sex, and high rates of sexually transmitted diseases. But the Tampa Bay Times said last year the 3 counties that The Villages sit in tend to have significantly lower rates of sexually transmitted diseases compared to the rest of Florida overall. And now you know way too much about that story.
And if you want, when you get into work this morning and you listen online at 939theeagle.com or kwos.com, you want to Google it. Typically, retirement communities, extremely high rates of STDs because they're like, whatever. Tonight, big event, some high school football.
What a transition.
Right. Angela.
Sorry, Angela.
I'm sorry, Angela. Man, not intentional.
They don't call it Adkins Stadium for nothing, right, Nail?
Wow.
It's a feel-good Friday. Angela Nail.
Good morning.
Central Bank. When you get into Central Bank this morning, you say, man, I was on Wake Up Mid-Missouri, and you know what before they talked to me, you know what they were talking about?
I learned way too much this morning.
Yeah, share that with some of your coworkers. Maybe we can talk about it some more tonight. We all get to hang out tonight. What's happening, Angela?
Well, it is the last Central Bank tailgate of the year. It's at Jefferson City High School. It's their homecoming. It is a full night tonight.
So what can we look forward to?
Well, of course, you can look forward to some amazing hot dogs from Hy-Vee, Coca-Cola products, and, of course, the J Nation T-shirt, the last design of the year. Save the best for last, of course. Gates open at 5 p.m. while supplies last, and we will be done by 6:30.
Now, Angela, what's the number on T-shirts that you guys have given out since you've been doing tailgates?
Oh, dear Lord. So 17 seasons. It was over 60,000.
Wow.
That's a lot of T-shirts.
That is a lot of T-shirts.
I think one thing folks don't know about Angela's been on the coaching staff at JCI in years past.
In years past. So, yes, I was a rugby coach. So I still am. Let's say I'm on hiatus.
I knew
so
that.
Next fall we'll be back.
All right, we will look forward to seeing you tonight. So we're going to be there at 4 o'clock hanging out with Angela and Em. By the way, I do appreciate what Central Bank does in the community. I was thinking about this last night. Stephanie Bella and I were at the big event for the YMCA last night and met the guy that goes in real early in the morning, been there forever.
Bob Roebuck.
Bob Roebuck. We were hanging out with Bob Roebuck last night, but it reminded me and Angela, you know this, here on the radio station with Zimmer and especially on Wake Up Mid-Missouri on 93.9 The Eagle and 104.5 News Radio 950 KWS, we talk about local support, local involvement, stuff like that, and you guys epitomized that. As a matter of fact, last year I was there when you were honored by the Chamber for what you personally did.
That was cool.
Yeah.
It was an emotional moment. And last night, you're talking about last night at the Y thing, it was such a busy night. We had a Special Olympics fundraiser last night, the Denim to Diamonds, the YMCA, the Big Brothers Big Sisters chili cook-off. We had our employees everywhere last night.
And if you can, for just a second before we move forward, because we're looking forward to seeing you tonight. Gates open at 5. We'll be out there 4 to 6. To you and to Central Bank, why the importance of being involved in these things?
Oh, honestly, I don't think, when you give back to the community gives back to you. And the community thrives on, help. You can't do it alone. What's the saying? It takes the village to raise the child. Well, it takes the community to make the community to succeed. You have to give back. You have to be a part of it. And Mr. Cook truly believed in that from day one. And I'm always honored just to be able to carry on his legacy.
And I took a lot of lessons from my grandpa Rathert. But the one big thing he always said, you help out in the house, and when you help, because I didn't get allowance. I say, Grandpa, I don't get allowance at the house. He says, well, you shouldn't. I said, how come? He says, because you live there too. You do that stuff. And then my grandpa said this, Angela. He says, and then if you can, you help folks out in your neighborhood. And then if you can, then you help folks out in your town, and you keep going. You keep doing what you do. So I appreciate what you guys do. We will look forward. We'll look forward to hanging out with you tonight. Feel Good Friday.
Awesome. See you tonight.
Angela Nail, Central Bank. Thank you so much. Coming up a little bit after 8 o'clock here on the show. So big things yesterday. April.
That will never not be funny.
And he continues to lay eggs daily.
Yeah, and now he wants to lay some more of your cash on other countries in his speech last night to the nation. My take on the speech. And I did not watch all of it. I want to start with that up front. Usually I do try to watch this stuff. And then, like with the speeches and debates and all that stuff, and then I turn the TV off immediately because I don't need the talking heads telling me what to think. I want to form my own opinions. Did not get to watch it last night because I thought, it would be more impactful if I hang out with Stephanie Bell.
We were at the YMCA auction, one of their annual big events. The Jefferson City Y also supports the Southern Boone Y, which has been really impactful to me and my family. And, they do a lot of good work with their outreach fund. Not only do they, allow folks who might not be able to afford those types of services and kids sports and stuff to participate, but they've also got this Live Strong program where they support folks in our community who are dealing with cancer, which is really impactful as well.
Yeah, and I'm serious, man. I always get honored because, the zip codes that Stephanie Bell runs in, and I'm not kidding. And I feel like I'm fanboying here a little bit, but anytime Stephanie,
No, you're just brown nosing a little.
Everyone there last night wanted to talk to me about the radio, and when I told them, hey, guess what? I think Brandon's showing up, they were very excited. And I got to introduce you to some folks that you hadn't met before that I've been knowing for a while.
Gary.
Yeah, listener Gary.
We got
great.
talking about Daz. My dad co-hosts, the big guy, co-hosts the show this week, and he was talking about that. And he says, man, I hope you're appreciating every single moment with them. And I'm like, yeah. So then Stephanie's introducing me around, and here's the big thing I heard last night. Where's producer Hannah? Where's Hannah? I thought it was more important to go to that, and I could watch clips later of the speech. It was the president's speech from the desk. Whatever, he's enjoying the moment because people like a wartime president, even though we are not involved in war. He does want to take more of your money and pass it through a speakerless House. Now, there's already had been a money appropriated prior to what's happening in the House. Maybe a third vote today. I don't know. We'll see. But I thought it'd be more impactful to be at this. By the way, coming up Monday morning, right about this time, 8:10, we'll have a big announcement here about Wake Up Mid-Missouri. So make sure you join us the whole show, actually. That would be preferable.
Just hang out with us.
Yeah, hang out with us the whole time, but at 8:10 would be really cool. Coming up 8:35, winners and losers of the week. So if you have some local winners, that would be really cool. 874-9390. We can take your text. We would certainly appreciate that.
Speaking of text, you see the one we just got from listener Nick?
What does it say?
He says, does Hannah know that Brandon thought the YMCA event was more important than her wedding? As I saw Brandon wearing actual shoes last night.
Is that listener Nick that we met last night? Because I met listener Nick last night. Anyway.
So we posted a picture from last night's event on the Wake Up Mid-Missouri Facebook page. And I look old. I really do. I look old in that picture. And I think it's the shoes. But
I think I even put a filter on it for you.
The old man filter?
She was trying to help you out.
I was just worried about myself.
Wait, did you just say, Brandon, that you think the shoes made you look old?
It's not the bald head. It's not the belly. It was the shoes. 874-9390. We have some other interesting news out of D.C., and I want to mention this real quick, just so you know when you're at work, and in case somebody mentions it, you're not caught off guard. The White House yesterday, we talk about the people that Joe Biden surrounds himself. It's not Joe Biden and his health issues and his mental health issues. I start to really lay blame at people that are around him, whether it's his wife, whether it's the vice president. These other people are like, hey, come on, man, we can't do this to another human being, and they continue to do it. But we talk about the people that he surrounds himself with, and I don't know who, if they have interns running the Instagram account for the White House, but they in effect doxed U.S. Special Forces, U.S. Special Force troops in Israel. They did this on Instagram. Following Joe Biden's trip to Israel this week, the official White House Instagram page posted a photo of Biden with several Delta Force operators whose faces were clearly visible. I am not a veteran, but I had an opportunity to hang out with some veterans this week in Centralia, and I know somebody's barstool knowledge of this stuff. You don't do that, man. And the White House did it. The White House did it. Social media users accusing the White House of blowing the Delta Force operators' cover and putting their lives in danger. So it's not just Joe. It's other progressives and Democrats that he has surrounded himself with. This also out of Washington, D.C. this morning.
Really important stuff.
Well, here's the thing. I'm wearing a boonie hat. I feel weird talking heavy heavy political stuff this morning for two reasons. Number one, it's Feel Good Friday. Bridges are up. No speaker, the House, Israel. But we're sporting black and gold this morning for the big homecoming weekend. Steph Bell and I got to be emceeing the parade. But I'm wearing a boonie hat, my Mizzou boonie hat, that I get to wear 3 times a year. And this is one of those times I get to do it. And I'm going to do it with confidence. So,
aren't we so lucky?
Yeah. Not everybody else is pleased about this. So I feel weird talking about heavy DC stuff, but this is an important story.
If you haven't had any luck on Tinder lately, you just need to go to work for Senator Chuck Grassley. Apparently, he's got 20 staff marriages under his belt. Now, he has been around for a while. He's 90 years old, but he's posing with a picture from some of his staffers who got married this last weekend. And apparently, they are not the only ones. 20 of his staffers, they've had, I guess that's 40, 20 staff marriages. I don't know if that's 20 or 40. Anyway, it's a lot. And people are saying it makes sense because, and we've talked about this before, as we get more polarized, like, do you need to have the same political persuasion as your significant other? And I think more and more people are saying yes. And so you know, if you go to work in a place like that, not only are you probably like-minded, but you're probably also spending a lot of time together in that job. And so apparently he is not the only one playing matchmaker, and has competition by Chuck Schumer, who claims that there have been 13 Schumer marriages and that there are 14 Schumer babies. So apparently, rather than electing a speaker, we know what these people are doing. It's like Grey's Anatomy and those call rooms or whatever, apparently in the Capitol every day.
I'd be more interested to know who has the most divorces or separations under their belt.
There you go.
We talk about people politically opposed. Talk about the couple that I interviewed about a month ago at our Tiger Tailgate, which we are doing tomorrow. That's going to be a 12:30 kickoff for the Tiger Tailgate. Kickoff the game 2:30. You can go to places in Columbia. You can go to Big O Tires. You can also go to Phyllis Nichols State Farm Insurance. In Boonville, you can go to Club Car Wash. In Jefferson City, you can go to Big Whiskeys. And if you're a fan of the Big Whiskeys, got some big news. There's another Big Whiskeys coming to Mid-Mo.
Yeah, the Columbia area is getting a Big Whiskey franchise. I'm excited.
So you go to those places, pick up your free passes today. You just go in and ask for them. Hey, Wake Up Mid-Mo was talking about this. Can we get some passes? And then Hy-Vee, Echo Water Systems, Twain Barbecue and Tap Room, Buffalo Wild Wings, Bud Light, High Noon, all helping us out. You come join us. It's going to be a good time tomorrow. But we talk about people politically opposed. I spoke with a married couple, been married over 30 years, played the interview here on the show. He was a Biden supporter. He is now a disgruntled, regretful Biden voter. She's a Republican for years, played the interview here on the show. James Carville and his wife for years, and George Will. I like to read George Will's stuff sometimes in the Washington Post just to see what he's thinking. And a lot of times when you read these pieces, say, hey, there's a disclaimer or something like that in the disclosure in this George Will. And I don't even remember necessarily what the article was about, but the disclosure on a George Will article from last week. Disclosure: the columnist's wife, Marie Will, an advisor to Republican presidential candidate Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina, disagrees with his column. That was a disclosure from the wife. 874-9390, 874-9390. You know, it'd be cool right now if you'd call in and share what it is you're feeling good about on a Feel Good Friday. We go to Moberly. It's where we find Teresa. Teresa's in Moberly. What can we do for you, Teresa? Never mind. Let's go to Perry. That's where we find David. David, what are you feeling good about today?
Hey, I'm feeling good. I woke up.
Amen.
Hey, by the way, Brandon, I just want to let you know, this would be a good weekend to go with the famous Know Your Neighbor deal. You need to go visit somebody you don't know and know your neighbors. When things go down, the police department and stuff like that's nice, but it's your neighbors that's going to help you out. And you need to know your neighbors better and know your neighborhood. And God bless your neighbors.
Amen. That's interesting. David, thank you. Tell everybody in Perry, Missouri, we said hello, and we appreciate you being a part of the Wake Up Mid-Missouri family, but a lot of agencies do. There's like the earthquake drill week. And you think about, number what do you do in an earthquake? But David's right. If there were actually an earthquake or any, and we saw this several years ago in Jefferson City, 4.5 years ago, we saw this in Jefferson City. with the tornado that went through there, and you saw neighbors out there helping neighbors. I appreciate that phone call. If there's something you would like to share with Mid-Missouri, something you're feeling good about, man, we would certainly love to hear about that. You can give us a buzz, 874-9390, 874-9390, and wanted to let you know, man, we're just all over. We've been in Centralia this week. We are in Jefferson City for the big YMCA event. We're in Jefferson City tonight. Jefferson City High School football, 4 to 6, gates at 5 with Central Bank T-shirts. And Hannah says they have the best, and it might sound odd, but these at our high school tailgates are incredible.
Yeah, Hy-Vee gives quarter-pound hot dogs. And it sounds like something that's kind of weird to get excited over. I'm not really a hot dog person, but these are so good.
They're incredible. And then tomorrow, Stephanie Bell and I, we're going to be, we're hanging out in downtown Columbia tomorrow.
For the homecoming parade. The parade begins at 9. We'll be there early. We'll be like right in front of City Hall. And you can hear all of the explanations of every single float that walks by. I've already been hearing from some of our political friends because there'll be some political folks in the parade. And it's always fun to see my friends walking in the parade and saying hi to people.
By the way, I got us some special shirts made in honor of Columbia. Man,
what?
We got inundated with texts of the Columbia mayor wearing a shirt that says, I'm the effing, and it's spelled out. And I was like, okay. But then I got texts from business owners.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about the chamber and the businesses. And this week, City of Columbia interviewing 3 different police chief candidates from out of town. And you see that about the mayor that very few people like. And it's sad. I like her personally, but it's really sad what's happening. So I had you some shirts made for you, and I says, we're the effing MCs of the parade.
Yay.
You know, this is why every time we have Mayor Fitzwater on from Jefferson City, we get texts from listeners saying, can we trade with Jeff City?
Coming up 8:25. By the way, allegedly wearing a shirt that says, I'm the effing mayor. Maybe it was photoshopped. Coming up 8:25, Morning Bell Business News with a little twist.
Are realtors getting paid too much?
That's a good question. Answer. Well, business news with a little twist.
Futures are celebrating a Feel Good Friday and Red Friday today because they are all in the negative. Looking at about 0.3% down currently. We've got about half an hour until the markets open. Is that? Yeah. No. Anyway.
They're opening up later, about 4 minutes from now.
Don't ask me to do math. Okay, so I posed this question: are realtors paid too much? And we don't usually ask that question. Most people, we would agree, everyone's paid too little. And I have a husband who actually technically is a realtor. He's in property management, but you have to have a real estate license. And he's occasionally sold a home here or there, and whenever I see the number, I'm like, you should do more of that, because that didn't take you very long, and that's a lot of money. And so typically in the States, you get the full 6%. So there's a buyer's agent and a seller's agent, and they kind of, and sometimes somebody will act as the buyer and the seller's agent, and then they get a whopping 6%. And you think, does it really, does it take that much longer to sell a bigger house? Because 6% on $500,000 house, or even a $300,000 house, that's some big time money.
Again, math. It's big.
It's a lot of money. And I remember when I was buying my house, we didn't have a realtor at the time, and they spent 10 minutes showing me the house, and they're like, all right, and they wanted me to sign this thing, and it was an extra 3%, and I'm doing the math, and I'm literally for 15 minutes of work, I can't. But I love all my realtor friends. But anyway, the reason I bring it up, there's a big lawsuit, and it's actually happening in Missouri, and it could affect realtors nationwide. I guess in other countries, realtors earn more like a 2%. Rather than 6%, which again, if you're doing the math, in the multiples, hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's a big difference. So there is a big antitrust lawsuit happening in the Kansas City area, and so Missouri is kind of at the middle of this. It's a class action lawsuit. Missouri, I think sellers brought the suit, and they're arguing that basically that the realtors are colluding, that it's anti-competitive behavior, and then they also have control over the MLS, which is the listing service where you can put homes, and so if you don't participate in all this stuff, then maybe you can't play on the MLS and all this. So that case is actually happening right now, and what they're saying is, this commission structure, a lot of times people are not in a position to even negotiate that 6%, and that it's all collusion, and but it's right here in Missouri, it's a big thing. So as home prices get more expensive, I think people are going to be kind of re-looking at. I mean, that's when we went. We actually sold our first house on Zillow, but I think now I would definitely use a realtor. But so as people are kind of looking at what their options are, and what options are available, I think we're going to see more and more of these antitrust lawsuits going forward.
Yeah, and the idea of doing this stuff on your own, a lot of folks listening to Stephanie Bell this morning go, man, that's a really good idea. Except for unless you're a realtor. They're not.
Yeah, I would use a realtor these days.
Feel Good Friday, 5 minutes.
And one of my friends said, Hannibal, you should hire a second line to follow you through the street. I said, what is that? He said, second line is a band, mostly brass instruments. You can hire them to follow you through the street. So basically in New Orleans, for $300, you can have your own parade on a day's notice. I said, this sounds great. How do I do this? You got to go to the police station. They have a parades department. New Orleans police has a parades department. There's homicide, there's narcotics, and there's parades.
That's Hannibal Buress. Stephanie and I get ready to MC tomorrow's big homecoming parade. Will be situated right downtown. We think by City Hall in Columbia. And so I've been hearing for years, it's the biggest homecoming parade. It's the first, and we fact-checked it this morning. And the ruling on the fact check here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri?
True.
It's a true story. And that's according to the NCAA, and then even like the board game Trivial Pursuit. Apparently somebody pointed out it's in the Trivial Pursuit board game.
It is, and the answer to the Jeopardy question. Everyone says Mizzou.
How about that? So I want to welcome back all the folks coming back into town who is here for homecoming weekend. Of course, the game tomorrow, Mizzou trying to go 7-1. And then after that, and now, I'm excited. I'm a casual fan. Support the young men that play and support what Eli Drinkwitz has been doing. And I become less of a casual fan and more of an ardent supporter whenever they're doing well. And they're 6-1. And in my time, I don't know that I've ever seen them 6-1 in the few years that I've been here. 874-9390, 874-9390. If you have somebody that you'd like to do for a winner or a loser of the week, we're going to be doing that here in just a few minutes. But Stephanie and I will be downtown, so if you get a chance, come by and say hi. We're going to be situated right by City Hall. By the way, the comedy there, that is Hannibal Buress. Welcome into the show. That, of course, Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
There is producer Hannah.
Hello.
And coming up, of course, 9 o'clock, Gary Nolan happens to be my dad's favorite show. It's the Gary Nolan Show here at 9 o'clock.
And now for nominees for the winners and losers of the week.
All right, winners and losers of the week. I'd like to pick out, and if you got something, hey, the more localer, the more better, we think. Although not local, I want to, seriously, this teacher in Missouri, St. Clair, she's the one, and we've seen this before, but for some reason has really made national news. She's a teacher, and she resigned after school administrators found out she had an OnlyFans account. OnlyFans is apparently you can get on there and subscribe to
whatever you want.
And people say, well, you're a teacher. She shouldn't be doing that. Well, if it's kids aren't finding out. It's parents.
Other parents who are subscribing.
Yeah. And listen, I don't have an issue with it. She resigned. She was not fired. She resigned because she could finally see it coming. But I appreciate her sticking to principles, which has been a very popular word this
There
week.
it is.
Principles. Here she taught English, and she's talking about kind of the financial aspect of it.
Teachers typically get further education because it moves us up on the salary schedule, so we can make more money if we have an advanced degree. So that was, one of the motivations there. So I'm going to accrue more student loan debt if I'm trying to get further education for my job. But yeah, it was definitely, I would say, not completely financially motivated, but it was a big factor.
And now she says she has made close to $1 million in the few weeks that she has been doing this.
Nice. Get your bag, girl.
Yeah, good for you. And again, I'm 52, and maybe I'm a little bit more chill about a lot of this stuff. And I'm also a dude, but I've never understood the people who, well, you shouldn't be doing that. Listen, that's what God gave you, right? If you're going to go that, and God gave you that, why not? She was making $42,000 working as a teacher per year, still paying. She's 28 years old, still paying off student debt. And she's like, student debt, check, paid off. I didn't have to rely on the government. I didn't have to rely on producer Hannah's tax money or Stephanie Bell's tax money to pay off my student debt. I'm doing it on my own. What do you got for winners and losers?
I will nominate Taylor Swift as a winner. Now, everyone else has been nominating, like, Travis Kelce, because, Taylor's bringing him up and everything. But we saw a lot. We haven't gotten into this. Hannah probably knows where this is going. But we saw a lot of interaction between the two of them last weekend.
Oh, yes.
And he actually he says he didn't push the security guard out of the way, but he
video would say otherwise.
It was really cute how he talked with his brother about it. He said, "I placed my hand on this guy's back." And said
really hard.
And his brother was like, "That's what someone who pushed somebody would say." But anyway, so he guided the security guard out of the way so he could assist Taylor out of the car. There are so many full breakdowns on their body language and him and where his hand placement is and how he treats her. But Taylor Swift is a winner because she finally is learning what it's like to date a real man.
Yes.
And so I'm going to pick her for winner of the week because he is showing off very good manners, and she has not had that before, and that's why people are saying this could be endgame for her because she's going to finally know what it's like to be treated right.
Well, and Travis Kelce, I mean, he's a little bit of a goofball anyways, but he's this big burly NFL player, but when he starts talking about Taylor Swift, his whole face just lights up. He gets this stupid grin on his face. It's cute.
Also, winners of the week, Rolling Stones and Rolling Stone fans. They haven't done this in 18 years. They're releasing a new album called Hackney Diamonds, and apparently folks saying, hey, they're good. And you think about these guys, they're about is Mick Jagger as old as Joe Biden? So that's when we talk about the age. I wish people would quit talking about age. It's not Joe's age. It's not his age. Trump is right up there, by the way. It's not Joe's age.
They're both 80 years old.
80.
Wow.
Mick Jagger. Okay, think about this. Mick Jagger, who still tours, by the way. No kidding. This guy tears it up. I'm out walking the MKT trail a couple times a week, and I'm like, man, look at me walking. And Mick Jagger, he's like doing, 300 shows a year, 2 hours at a time, tearing it up on stage. I'm 52 years old. Mick Jagger is 80 years old, just as old as the president. So point that one out today.
I have a winner of the week, and I hope that my friends listening in California don't ratio me for this one. The Pintos and the Blair Oaks Falcons have a little bit of a rivalry. But I gotta do winner of the week of a Blair Oaks football player, Brady Kerperin. I probably spelled it or pronounced his last name wrong. But he announced his intent this week to play football for the Air Force. And I thought that was so cool. He had offers from 4 schools, one of them being Mizzou, and he chose the Air Force. And I just thought that was really cool.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. Randy, listener Randy, is nominating some losers of the week. And I appreciate, really.
Wait, is that Randy Tobler?
Randy Tobler hosts the Tobler Show weekdays, 4 o'clock. Says, love the show, but you guys are losers of the week for praising that teacher. Appreciate you. I'm picking you, Randy, as a winner of the week for having the... It's like I'd pick Barbara Buffalo as a winner of the week, the mayor of Columbia who'd been running around allegedly. And I did reach out to the mayor and say, hey, is that you in that shirt that says I'm the effing mayor? Or is that a Photoshop job? Have not heard back from her yet. But I'm going to nominate her for a winner of the week for having the confidence to be such a moron when you're representing a city who's trying to bring businesses here and trying to hire a brand. We had 3 candidates for the chief of police here in Columbia. And for her to do that, and I personally like her, but my goodness, the numbskullery involved here, because it's not you. And that's what a lot of these people do not understand, whether it's in Washington, D.C. or it's on a local level. It's not about you. But Randy, we do appreciate the text. Have you heard? So the Chiefs are playing the Chargers this weekend. Chiefs also 6-1. Have you heard who the backup punter is?
Are you really asking me that?
So if you were to, I don't even think I know who the punter is. Is it Harrison Butker?
He's
the field goal kicker, isn't he?
Is Butker the field goal kicker? Well, again, we've all been lifelong Chiefs fans for about 8 years now. Who is the 8-7?
Everyone knows the Mizzou kicker after that, but no. Chiefs, no.
So I think it's Butker. I don't know who the punter is, but the punter, apparently, he's got an injury. I don't know how a punter suffers an injury, but whatever.
The punter is Tommy Townsend.
I was close. Harrison Butker, Tommy Townsend. You could see how I could get the two confused. Here's one of the coaches on the Chiefs staff, if you're interested and want to know who the backup punter is this weekend for the Chiefs.
The backup punter. Yeah, we had a plan. And believe it or not, he's our backup punter. I mean, he shows me all the time. You know, he's
all right. There's an issue that's not my fault. To err is human. To really follow things up requires a computer. The backup punter for the Kansas City Chiefs is Patrick Mahomes.
Really?
Seriously.
That wasn't just an internet meme that I saw?
No, I had audio of this coach, but yeah, he's saying Patrick Mahomes. As a matter of fact, apparently, here's the story. So, like, every week in practice, Patrick, apparently, he'll call these coaches over and like, coaches, look, I can punt. And like, that's cool, Patrick. Just throw the ball, please. Throw 300 yards a game, 3 or 4 touchdowns. We'll be good. But Patrick's like, no, but look.
He's like a 15-year-old. They're like obsessed with kicking the ball.
Well, and speaking of the NFL, did you see the Rams head coach made headlines this week? So his wife is currently expecting a child, and he had a quote kind of go viral. He was obviously joking, but when you see it on paper and there's no context, it looks kind of bad. But he was quoted as saying that he was not going to miss a game. He said, "My son knows better than to come on game day."
Oh, man. Coming up. Before we get into the Gary Nolan show, leftovers, maybe a couple. And I have one more winner, somebody from Lincoln University. I'm going to pick them for winner of the week, and we'll roll out with one of the new songs, one of the first places that you are going to hear it. This is some of the new music from widely considered the greatest, most successful rock band. Think about how we're talking about Mick Jagger is 80 years old. The Rolling Stones hit the scene in the mid-'60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000. They've been around for 50 years and still doing it. Good morning.
Enjoy.
Lincoln University's Misty Young. I'm picking her as a winner of the week for a couple of reasons. Number one, like whenever we reach out to John Mosley, who was on the show recently talking about underfunding for Lincoln University over the years, she's prompt and immediate. She's very good at what she does in representing Lincoln. But I'm picking her as one of our winners of the week this morning because she has been watching the show. And by the way, a couple of different ways that you can watch the show.
Yeah, you can watch us on YouTube or Facebook Live. At Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Yeah, Wake Up Mid-Missouri on YouTube. And she says she loves the boonie hat this morning.
I was going to say, if you need an installment of what not to wear tomorrow to homecoming, just check out our video.
Speaking of, did you see the folks who did the TV show What Not to Wear? They're like, the gang is back together and there might be a reboot coming?
No.
It was Stacey Clinton and shoot.
Ooh.
I would always watch reruns like when I was homesick from school when I was little because it was the only decent thing on.
So guess what I am wearing to the homecoming parade tomorrow? While I sit next to Stephanie Bell.
Hopefully not.
Stephanie's going to show up with an outfit for you that matches her outfit.
Yes.
And if you are at homecoming tomorrow, Stephanie and I are going to be situated like downtown. Typically, they have us set up right by City Hall. So we mention that if you get a chance, or even if you're in the parade, this is always fun too. When people are in the parade, and they start shouting, the participants in the parade start shouting out things like, "Where's Producer Hannah? Where's Producer Hannah?" So we are looking forward to that. Leftovers, other things we have for leftovers.
I got a loser. Dogs. Can't trust them.
Just in general?
Yes.
Wow.
But this dog...
Who hurt you, Stephanie?
Well...
Tell us.
I have facts to support my position because this dog killed Ronnie, the elephant, at the St. Louis Zoo. And apparently this elephant died. She was 27, but her mom's there, I guess, and is like in her 50s or something. So this is like a young elephant still, even though 27 sounds kind of old for an elephant. Anyway, she was outside, and then there was an unleashed dog running around. She goes into the elephant barn. The other elephants get agitated. They're vocalizing. She gets agitated by the vocalization by the other elephants and drops dead. But it's all due to this unleashed dog that was running around spooking the elephant.
So the elephant got scared and just keeled over.
That's what that's the story. That's what the professionals are saying.
This seems a little sus.
No, and it was funny. So and the elephant was like 27 years old. So I remember there was a big deal in St. Louis media when the elephant was born. There was a big, whoop to do and a dog. Apparently, maybe the elephant had heart conditions, which is a good reminder. Get your heart checked.
Other things.
Get your stuff checked. Yeah, whatever kind of screening it is, get it done. Here's something. This could ease depression as much as medication, according to a...
if it's an essential oil, I swear.
Weed. What is it? Is that where we're going with this?
Well, no, but you're accurate.
Okay.
And a matter of fact, there's also, and this is happening more in Missouri now, psychedelics. There is... I hate to say evidence because it's just fact now, overwhelming facts that there's some medical uses to psychedelics, especially. And you talk to veterans and some of these folks, especially a lot of the younger veterans and even older veterans who for years have just not been able, for one reason or another, completely overcome what they endured while protecting our country. And so they're trying to, on these younger veterans, and they're going, my goodness, man, it is changing my life. But yes, cannabis, there's obviously benefits to that. Or running.
Seems like a good alternative. You have to run. Can you just walk quickly? Because I'm too old to run.
Can I just walk and eat gummies? Can I try both and see what...
I think that's probably true, though. I mean, just getting outside for a few minutes and a quick walk certainly elevates my mental health. Do you have to be like a marathon runner for it to work for you?
So even just any kind of running, folks were given options to run. You want to run this, but I think even just a little bit, and it goes back to basically elevated heart rate for 30 minutes a day does it. And as somebody who's had experience with all this except for running, I got a car. I don't need to run.
Listen, if you ever see me running, you should also run because I am in danger.
So yeah, running and exercise, and I have found that. And so before I started going to the gym, I don't know, almost 25 years ago, people talk about how
rolling my eyes.
You didn't do the tongue click and flex. You forgot that part.
And I started going to the gym.